Jay is in Coventry. Jay, good evening.
Evening, Daniel. Thank you for taking my call. I'll be trying short and sweet as possible. I had a surgical operation about 2 years ago on my shoulder. I kept having repeated shoulder dislocations. Waited about about a year on the waiting list. Came round to the operation. All was well until about 10 minutes into the operation, where the surgical tools they were using, one of them broke off and the metal hook went down my shoulder into my arm. Yeah, it was a keyhole surgery from the back of my shoulder, so I was only supposed to have 2 pinhole scars. I've ended up having about a 6-inch scar going through the front of my shoulder because they've had to rip open the front of my shoulder to try and get the tool out. They then spent 2 hours trying to get that broken tool out of my arm. I was in surgery, supposed to be in for an hour and a half. I was in there for about 3.5 hours.
Were you under general anaesthetic at the time?
General anaesthetic, yeah. So the surgical procedure that they were supposed to do to fix my arm up didn't actually take place. The whole time I was under, they just spent trying to fix the issue of taking the surgical tool out. They took the tool out and then they sold me back up, stating it would have been too intrusive to then further carry on with the operation.
Yep. Have you had the shoulder reconstruction since then?
I'm waiting on the waiting list. It's been about another 2 years. So I've still got about 6 months.
What you've suffered is a 6-inch scar and a second surgery.
Yes.
And 2 years waiting.
6 weeks.
Yeah, 2 years wait and 6 weeks recovery, and 2 years waiting. Have you had any further dislocations during those 2 years?
No. So what I've done in between is because I've had so many repeated dislocations, I've had to adjust my life in terms of I do a lot more things with my left arm instead of my right.
Yeah.
Can't pick up my kids, so I do a lot less in life. And the whole idea was to not do that by having the surgery 2 years ago.
I understand. I'll tell you this, Jay. I used to have shoulder dislocations. It was happened for the first time when I was skiing, and then it used to come out all the time. I'd sneeze and my shoulder would dislocate, and it was
exactly that.
Painful. But the shoulder reconstruction surgery fortunately worked for me. Funnily enough, I actually have and had long discussions with my wife over and over again, because a shoulder dislocation is meant to be the most painful orthopedic injury you can have.
They're the worst.
I used to argue with my wife what was worse, shoulder dislocation or childbirth. She thought it was one. I was absolutely convinced it was the other. But I reckon you'd agree with me, would you?
2 peas in a pod we are.
Right, so compensation. You don't get compensation just because a surgical operation goes wrong. It's a little more complex than that. You've got to show that the doctor who was performing the keyhole surgery was negligent, which means that you have to show that they fell below the standard expected of a reasonably competent orthopedic surgeon. Now, instruments shouldn't break. They will break for one of 2 reasons: misuse by the surgeon, I don't know whether that was the case, or the instrument being improperly maintained or just being faulty. If it was improperly maintained, then you have a claim. If the surgeon did something wrong, you have a claim. If it just broke because it was a 1 in a million chance, and there is a 1 in a million risk of these things just breaking, then you won't have a claim, I'm afraid, Jay. And what you're going to need to do is get hold of your medical notes, because the medical notes will explain what happened. Take them to a solicitor who specialises in what's called clinical negligence. It's what medical negligence is called nowadays. Mm-hmm. Get that solicitor to look at your notes, and they will work out what went wrong and whether that will give you a claim. But without seeing your notes, I can't give you a yes or no answer. What I can suggest you do is contact an organisation called AVMA. That's an acronym for Association of Victims of Medical Accidents, AVMA. And they will be able to put you in touch with some good solicitors who specialise in this sort of thing. They may even be able to give you some free advice.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Like, I don't even know where to start. Do I have a leg to stand on? Where do I even go with this?
You may have a leg to stand on, but I don't have enough information to give you an answer. What I can tell you is you don't have a shoulder to cartwheel on, that's for certain. In terms of compensation, I suspect here, if you're looking at extra surgery, a 6-inch scar, and another 2 years of not being able to do all the things you'd want to do, my guess is you're looking at somewhere around the £15,000 to £20,000 mark.
Interesting.
for that sort of
Yeah, I mean, you've got the compensation side of things, but it's just, I mean, the whole reason, I mean, I've had this show, you've just described to me your own experiences. I've gone through this. I went through 10 years of non-surgery before I decided to go through surgery, and only to come out of it with nothing successful. And like, even during the pre-op, I was asking all the relevant questions. What are the risks? What do I do after?
Yep.
You know, what's the likelihood? What's the success rates? Never did I think to ask, hold on, are you guys using Poundland tools, or are you guys using real surgical tools that aren't going to break? Like, you know, it wasn't even a question that crossed my mind. Like, do surgery tools break? Like you said, they shouldn't really break.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in my records, but I did feel like while I had
Yeah, but Jay,
conversation-
the absence of a good explanation in your records, excuse me, will itself speak volumes to a lawyer. If there's not a good explanation in your records, that's big flashing alarm bells for a lawyer.